If you ever owned a Sun, you probably already know about the highly common air condition that these old Suns like to have, where the NVRAM battery dies inside the machine and you get something like this on boot up. As you can see here, it says the idprom contains are invalid, and as you can see, the Ethernet address is complete garbage. It's something like ABAA, AEBA. Sometimes it's all Fs. Sometimes in this system it seems to revert to that. But it depends on the system what the Ethernet address will revert to. But the clock will be invalid and the system will not boot. Well, it will boot if you type in boot, but on this system it does not want to boot unless I type boot. And then even once I boot it, the networking device will not work because the Ethernet address is invalid. In fact, let's take a look here. As we can see here, it says the idprom contains are invalid. Our Ethernet address is that weird thing. And if we look a little above, it says here that the real-time clock is incorrect. When it says, incorrect configuration checksum right after starting real-time clock. So as we can see here, this system has some issues, and you can even manually program in the Ethernet address. You can even set the time, turn the system off, wait a few minutes, you'll get this again because the battery's dead. So today I'm going to show you how to fix this without using Dremels or any of that sort of deal. So let's take apart the Sun and I'll show you what the culprit is. So our first step is going to be to open up the Sun, and if you've ever taken apart one of these old Suns, it's pretty easy. You just get yourself a screwdriver and you remove the screws. Some of them it's a side panel you clip off. On some of them it is a panel that slides off. And on some of them, you even just push buttons and you pull the case apart, like on the lunch boxes. So I've removed the screws. This one's captive. This one's the security screw. And we're going to take the thing apart. And this one, because the case is old and aged, it does not like to come apart that easily. So we got to ease it open a bit. I like to do that. This one ain't coming apart too easily. Let's see. This is a little bit brittle. There's some plastic weakness here to be expected from something from the 90s. I mean, this system was actually made in 1995, judging by 94, 95, judging by the dates on the components. So this is a pretty old system. So is it any wonder that the clock chip is bad? Now I'm going to place this down here. And let's get to the clock chip part of the board. So this is the inside of a SPARCstation 20, one of the more common Suns from this era, and pretty much a template for some of the clones as well. We've got our M bus here, our S bus. I think that's what these buses are called. I mean, this is the bus with the expansion cards. This is the bus with the CPU. And in the middle is the big obvious chip that's causing our problem, the clock chip. So, the clock chip, as you can see, it's this yellow chip. Well, actually it's black, but it's also got a yellow sticker with the last few digits of our MAC address. And this is good for two reasons. One, it will help us restore it. And two, they did this so that you could basically, let's just say your Sun broke and you bought software and it was licensed per machine by the MAC address, because that was the common thing they used on a lot of these Unix systems, was they licensed it based on your MAC address. Well, the problem is, if your system would break, like it needed a motherboard replacement, it was easier to do that than it was to have to reprogram in the old MAC address. So that's what Sun, SGI, that's what some of these companies did, was they would have the MAC address be on this chip. Well, the problem is, when the clock battery died, it wouldn't just take out the clock, it would also take out the MAC address, meaning networking would not work, software that was licensed by your MAC address would not work, etc., etc. So, thankfully, this means this chip is very easy to replace. Now, how easy? Well, as you can see, make note of the fact that the dot's in the bottom of the chip. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull it out. And it ain't working. So what you just noticed was me trying to pull it out through this. Problem is, it looks like you're supposed to pull it like this, but it's not going to do anything. You know what works? Here's what works. Sticking a screwdriver in, a good old flat bladed screwdriver. And that's not going to work either. That's not going to work either. Probably because this one's too big. But will a smaller one work, like one of these? Nope, won't work either. See, the problem with these is they look like they're designed to come up, right? But the problem is that these sockets are designed to be very, very tight. So it's a bit of a pain taking this out. Thankfully, after going after it a little longer, I was able to get it out. So basically, the thing with these chips is they are designed to be, it comes in a weird mount, right? Where basically it's designed to go in like this. So you could easily pull it out. Problem is when you put it in here, when you put the chip in here, it's really sealed in. And then you put the chip in here and it doesn't like to come out. So these sockets can be a bit hard to get them out of, but once you do, you're left with both the chip carrier to ease in removal, and you're left with the socket. And the socket looks like it's perfectly fine. So these things can be a pain to remove, and when you're working with this stuff, it can be a learning curve. But that's why I'm filming this. So let's show off the new chip. So I went to DigiKey, and for less than the price of people selling these on eBay, I got one of these clock IC chips. Now, you might be wondering what that is in this bag. Well, this is an ST Microelectronics M48 T18 100 PC1. And the 100 has to do with the RAM speed, which is mostly irrelevant in this application, but like I read online, if you have a faster chip, then it won't make a difference. So right here we've got this bag. It's actually a nice reclosable anti-static bag, which is nice because a lot of these aren't. And let's pull this out and let's open this up. Well packed, by the way. Timekeeper RAM contains lithium cell M48 T18 100 PC1. I don't seem to see a date like a traditional sort of IC manufacture date on here. I don't know where it would be. But this is a brand new from DigiKey one. And, yeah. Yeah, this is the old one. And this is the new one. And as you can see, the new one is a bit bigger in size, so it won't fit in the old carrier. Not like that's going to be a problem for us, though. Because, let's take this out. So as you can see here, this one's actually bigger than the carrier, it looks like. And, yeah, the pins are great. If you put it here, it's not going to fit. Because that's how the carrier works. It's supposed to drop back in, but as you can see here, it's not going to fit. But, let's go over here. Let's move this over here, back to where the original clock chip was. So as we can see right here, this, it says MK48T08 right where that chip is. And this is a 48T18. So apparently there's a bit of difference here, but let's put it in. And it fits. The M48T18 chip fits like a glove. I mean, it doesn't work in the carrier, but it fit right into the socket. I mean, I'm looking down here. All the pins seem like they're lining up. It's just this seems to be a bit smaller than the new chip. So you see that in thing 719CD2? Remember that for when we turn the system on. 719CD2. This is going to be the MAC address of the system. So let's plug this thing in and turn it on. Alright, so I'm just waiting here for the Sun to finish posting. I know at least with a bad clock battery, this can take a few minutes for the SparkStation 20 to finally finish posting, because it does all these little tests, which it outputs to the serial line, and then it finally displays video of some sort. So right here, basically, okay, finally we're getting video. We're getting the same error message, but this time you notice something different. The Ethernet address, even after saying the idprom contains are invalid, has reset itself to solid 5s. The host ID, the Ethernet address, solid 5s. While the other clock chip was just resetting to basically 0, apparently whatever was in the RAM of this brand new clock chip from the factory was solid 5s. So while that other clock chip was just resetting to the same old thing, this basically the Sun read it as 5s. So that's a great sign right there. But we're not done yet. Now we actually have to program in the new clock chip, because that Ethernet address is still invalid. The same goes with the serial number. So let's zoom out again, and we're going to program this. So the first thing we're going to do is I'll just stop the camera real quick, and then I'll start again once I'm programming it. So right here we're going to start typing in commands now. So the first command we're going to type in is set defaults. It already did that, but we're going to do it again just to be safe. Then we're going to set the diag switch to false. So that turns off the diag switch environment variable. And now what we're going to do is we're going to actually program it. So basically, to program it, what we have to do is we have to enter in a series of commands. So what we're going to do here is, first of all, we're going to set the host ID, and we're going to set the Ethernet address, but it's going to be a whole list of commands. So basically, the first one is, it's going to be 0100 MKP, and then we're going to type in, for this model, we're going to type in 72, but we can also use real machine type. So we're going to type in 72.1 MKP 082. Actually, yeah. And you're going to keep doing that. I'm going to link a guide in the description so you don't have to just watch me type all this, but I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so this is what I'm going to press enter at. So first off, as you can see, like I said, the chip is, and it's not focusing, but 719CD2. So I've put that in here, 719CD2. 719CD2. So I'm going to put the link on what commands to actually type in to your Sun to get it to reset, but now we're going to press enter here, and then we're going to type in reset. So actually, yeah, I'm just double checking. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to type in reset. And Sun's going to go through the boot up process. So real quick, I'm going to throw this out there. There are two ways you can get another replacement chip. The first way is what we're going to call the Dremel method, where you basically Dremel the chip away. The second way, and as we can see, our new serial number and Ethernet address are programmed in 719CD2, and the time of date chip is incorrect. That's what it's going to do when we replace the chip. So I'll just tell you real quick, the other way of doing it, of replacing the chip, is the Dremel method. And I call it the Dremel method because you basically Dremel the chip away until you get to the clock battery, and you remove it and you replace it. And that can be a bit dodgy, because if you really don't know what you're doing, you can screw up the chip. And you got to remember, you can buy these chips for 20 bucks on DigiKey plus shipping. And while we're at it, let's just use the let's just peel what's off the chip here real quick. So I'm gonna run this plastic razor blade on here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, this actually doesn't come off that easily either. So you definitely want to take a picture of it, but yeah, this is this chip is a bit hard to get open anyway. You gotta Dremel it, you gotta remove that sticker, and you better hope you took a picture of that sticker. Meanwhile, this is 20 bucks on DigiKey, and you can get a nice clock battery replacement. No Dremeling needed, none of that stuff. And as you can see, the system works fine. You can log right in. It ain't a speed demon, but kind of to be expected of a SPARCstation 20 with one CPU. And now you might want to go and reset the date and time. So you can go to Terminal. I don't care about that admin tool. Let's do this. And so yeah, we can reset the date with the date command. It's actually a few days out of date because that was the last time I powered the system on. But now we've got a valid date. So I'd have to go to date 04, 05, 16, 33, 2019. So now it's set to April 5th. And now we're going to shut the system down. So that date was out of date because Solaris was bringing up the last date it knew existed. So the system's turning off. So yeah, the other methods to Dremel it, or you can just go to DigiKey and for under $20 purchase a clock chip, and their customer support is killer. I mean, I had the first chip I got get lost in shipment, but I went to them and I got another one, and I told them mine got lost in shipment, and they're like, we'll send you another one. So it's off, and I'm actually going to pull the power cord, and it's a bit hard to hold, so I'm going to put it under the keyboard. As you can see, it's 4:34. Let's come back in a few minutes. Alright, a few minutes have passed. It's 4:38 now. Let's plug the system back in. I could have waited longer, but just a few minutes is enough to test. So let's go to the front of the system. Look at that. This thing used to take like 1 to 2 minutes to boot. And this thing has a good clock battery chip. And it's working now. All because I replaced the NVRAM chip. $20, this thing's back in shape. So yeah. Why try Dremeling when you can get the chip for $20 on DigiKey? So yeah, look at that. Nice system. Nice Sun. A good old Sun. All with $20 on DigiKey. Why waste your time Dremeling when for little effort and not much more you can get this thing going easily? So yeah. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more tech tips like this.